Okay everybody, today we've got an exciting episode for you. We're going to show you how to start and plant one of these, a golden Dorset apple tree here in the Arizona desert. Come along with us. Good morning, this is Dwayne with Edge of Nowhere Farm, and we are here on a fall morning, at least I think it's fall. It's September 23rd on Saturday, and you know what, it's a little chilly. Granted, we live in Arizona, and we're wimps when it comes to cold weather, but it's probably 56 or 57 degrees this morning, so we're super happy to be out here working in 57 degrees, 56 degrees, as opposed to 90 at 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. Anyhow, we're excited because fall means planting time for us. So, and obviously for us here on Edge of Nowhere Farm, it means planting fruit trees, of course. So we've had some really good success with some apple trees that we buy from RSI growers. They're a local grower here in the Phoenix area. They're actually located in Glendale, Arizona, and highly suggest anybody looking at this video or watching this video in Arizona or in the Phoenix area in Arizona at least, if you're wanting a palm tree, I think it's palm fruit tree, which is apples and pears, or if you're wanting some type of stone fruit tree, so you know, peaches, apricots, plums, things like that. He does an amazing job. He uses local rootstock. So he grows it himself, the rootstock himself. He gets budwood cuttings from one of the universities, one of the extensions for one of his one of his apple trees. It's the Tropic Sweet. He's the only one in the state that I'm aware of that can do that. It's an amazing apple. We use it for fresh eating, and we use it for baking as well. It's also what we use to make our apple butter. One of the apples we use to make our apple butter. So what we're doing this morning is we picked up some trees from him, and if you guys, and I'll try to link it whichever direction that goes on me. I'll try to link our first video that we did on prepping this soil so you can kind of see the end result of the tree going into it here almost 2 months later. But what we're doing this morning is we're going to be planting some apple trees. What we have is we have an Anna, we have a golden Dorset, and we have a Tropic Sweet. And if you guys have seen this area before, these are the three spots that we had prepped, and we'll go over that here in just a sec. But what you're going to watch us do this morning is you're going to actually watch us through our planting process of one of our apple trees. And this is generally what we use for all of our trees that go into the ground. So you'll get a really good idea of how we do it from start to finish. So I figured what we'll probably do is sneak Lori into this one because she doesn't have a choice because she's got to help me, which is great. So you'll see her buzzing around because we'll probably do this with a kind of a time lapse, but you'll see her this morning. What I also wanted to do is I wanted to go through the supplies that we use and what we're going to be putting into the ground and around the ground to help with the growth of our fruit trees here on the farm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. So a couple things. You're going to see a couple tubs here that many of you will probably recognize. Fish fertilizer and vitamin B1. Vitamin B1 is for root development, which obviously for newly planted trees is super critical. We are in the fall. We have another month and a half of growth that we'll get out of these trees. They'll be able to establish really well and be ready for that winter to set in and get some cold hours, which is what these fruit trees need. So we're going to be using those to help with root development and establishing the fruit tree before it goes into dormancy. We got some gypsum. If you guys don't know what that is, we use that as a soil conditioner here in Arizona. We've already conditioned the soil somewhat with the wood chips that have been on the ground for a couple months, along with the water. But this will actually help with some of the root development around the ring of the tree. You'll see that as we go. You guys will recognize that. You can get that at either one of your big box stores. We like Home Depot. That's where we got this one. We'll be using that as a soil amendment. What you see in this wheelbarrow right here is some straw. So you'll see where we put the straw. It's one of the things that we put down as a base layer for the mulch. So you'll see how we do that here in just a moment. Tools, really don't need to explain that. And behind Lori is our irrigation supplies. So what we're going to do is we're going to break here for a second. Lori and I are going to start getting to work on moving some of the wood chips out of the way, digging the holes, and getting these trees planted. So what we'll do is we'll kind of show you the end result as we come back to you. With that, let's get to work. Okay, so before we get started, hopefully you can hear me okay. I don't have the mic on, but before we get started, I want to show you the tree. So this is an example of the trees that we get from Reed. So they're obviously were grafted last year, so they're not very big. He's only maybe 2 or 3 feet tall.
So it doesn't look really all that impressive now, but let me tell you, if we get a chance, we'll show you a picture of the golden Dorset that we got from him just about, actually it was 2 years ago. We put him in the fall 2 years ago. So you get an idea, it was a whip just like this. It was just a single stick sticking out of the ground. And then this year we harvested, sweetheart, what was it? Probably 2 5-gallon buckets of apples off of that tree. So they produce amazing, very, very quickly. And we do like these to be more of a bush, so they're easier to get to. But this is the tree that we're going to be planting this morning, so you're going to see that now.
Okay, so we wanted to take a quick break and we wanted to kind of show you where we're at now with the planting. So obviously you saw us dig a hole. I don't know if you guys noticed, but we talked a little bit about our dirt and how hard it is and how easy it was for me to actually dig that hole and then get this trench in. We'll talk about that in a second. But this dirt has only seen water and wood chips for the last couple months. So you can go back and watch our old video timing wise to see when we actually did the wood chips, how long this has just had drip irrigation, water, and wood chips on it. And this stuff is easy to move. So if Lori wants to slide in a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit about what we just did. So essentially what we have, obviously you dig your main hole. Inside your main hole, the only thing I put in there is gypsum, number one, very little, and a little bit of the soil amendment, which is just that natural garden soil that we use to help break up our hard clay soil. Just a little, not much, because this root stock is adapted to our soil. It's not an issue. So we get that planted, we water that in just a little bit, and then get the rest of it buried with the amended soil. We build a very small berm. That very small berm is only for the first couple months of this tree's life. This tree's roots are going to come out into this area very quickly and establish very quickly. Again, rootstock's key. Got to make sure you have the right rootstock to allow it to do that. Sorry, I'm out of breath. Just digging and making a trench. But anyhow, we got the small berm in here. So that's number one. After that we got that planted, we created that berm. You saw me take this donut and dig this donut out. That's actually where most of the irrigation is going to be occurring, because that's where the roots are going to be within a few months. Spring of next year, the roots are all out here. So you're going to see in just a second what we put in this area here. We're going to run our drip irrigation as well. So we're going to change camera angles a little bit so you guys can actually watch us put the irrigation in, so you can see how we do drip irrigation on our fruit trees here on the farm. So that's up next.
Okay, so you guys just watched us put our irrigation together. Now we've got over 100 fruit trees, so we've done this a lot. So we've got a system down where we can do this pretty quick. But we wanted to show you all the details of what you just saw. So if Lori can pan down, first thing we did is we have our drip line, our 1/4 inch drip line that comes in here. Then what we do is we use a 1/4 inch barbed tee to tee it off here. We send one line over to this side. You'll see what we do with that in just a second. Send another line over here, do another tee. After the tee, we come up with 1/4 inch strip line to a 4 gallon per hour emitter. You'll see another piece of hose here, because what's going to happen, we're going to have mulch in the basin. We're going to be able to take this water line and put it up into the tree, and that's just temporary. So that's only going to be for the first few months while the tree establishes. Then what we'll be able to do is back that off back into here, and you'll see that, but back it off back into the ring, to the 6-foot ring. So that way we can adjust the water out as the tree grows, which is critical. You can't keep watering up here at the base of the tree as the tree grows, because the roots that are feeding are not there anymore. They're out here. So that's our irrigation system. Super, super easy and simple to put together, but we wanted to give you guys the details. So we figured we'd take a little break and you can see the details, but we don't have time to take a break because we've got to finish this tree and get it watered. So you're gonna see the rest of that now. Okay everybody, so you just got done watching us finish this up. So this is actually, you've now seen how we plant our fruit trees here on Edge of Nowhere Farm. So this is our new little baby golden Dorset tree. We're really excited to have it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do kind of some finishing touches. So what you saw, just as a quick recap, once we got the irrigation in, we come back around, there's gypsum down in the bottom to help the soil just a little bit, condition the soil a little bit. We come back in with some basic straw. So we actually get that straw from Tractor Supply. It's easy for us to carry back in the SUV. It's their compressed straw bales. So we get straw, put straw down, and then we put the wood chips on top. So you'll see that we ran one of the irrigation lines is right up here next to the tree. Again, that's temporary. Eventually it'll be out here in that further out ring, that 6-foot ring. But for now, it's going to be watering up here when the irrigation does come on. We've got wood chips right up near the trunk, not against it because we're going into fall, so we don't want to have any rot going into the wintertime. So make sure we keep that back. But the last thing that we do is we do stake this. So when you buy a tree like this, you know, obviously he does a great job of grafting and starting out the tree, but then it's our job to make sure that the tree survives from there. So we're going to do a couple things. First thing that I'm going to wind up doing, but not until wintertime, is I'm going to lose this branch. So this branch right here is going to go away. And then I'm going to turn this tree into what's called a whip. It's going to have just a single stalk, essentially. It's going to eventually be the trunk of the tree. And then we're going to train that so that it starts straight. We're going to let it branch out probably about a foot or so, maybe 2 feet off the ground. We'll have it actually finally come out into the tree shape that we want. So we're going to accomplish straightening this whip and also protecting this tree from our wind. Our wind actually comes from the west, which is about the only direction that this one's going to have any serious amount of wind because of the house. We do get some north and easterly winds that come in from the east and the north, but for the most part it comes in from the west. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a single stake on this for now. If it needs it, we'll use T-posts, which is usually what we use to stake up our trees when it's necessary. But what we're going to use to start is just a basic bamboo stake.
and I'm going to position this strategically. So what I'm going to do, I am going to get it near the tree because it's going to actually be used to help direct and support this branch, which will eventually become the trunk. And then I'm going to keep it on this side of the tree, which is going to really make sure that it gives it some extra protection from that westerly wind that's going to come in this way. So to get this staked in, I'm probably about maybe 2 to 3 inches away from the trunk of the tree. So basic bamboo stake, real simple. And I don't want this to be too much taller than the tree, but I want it in that harder ground that's down there, past the amended soil. Okay, so I've got that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this now, and I'm actually just going to take the trunk and create the trunk of the tree. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, and this isn't, but it's going to keep this branch from flopping over, which is what we don't want. So basic green gardener's tape is all we use here because this is just temporary. And I'm going to tie this, but I'm going to tie it loosely. It doesn't need to be snug, it just needs to hold it upright. Just like that. So that's it. So this is our new golden Dorset apple tree. I may add one more tie here just to make sure it stays straight up. Again, we'll lose this when I go back and do winter pruning. So once it's dropped its leaves, we'll lose this branch completely. So it actually won't be there. This will be the trunk of the tree. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode today. We had a lot of fun making it. We've actually got 2 more trees to plant, so we've got a busy morning ahead of us still. We're going to get a couple more apple trees in. We're going to get the Anna in next because these 2 cross-pollinate, and then we're going to get the Tropic Sweet the furthest away from the Dorset. Not necessarily on purpose, but the Anna cross-pollinates the Tropic Sweet. So we've got cross-pollination with this one and the Anna, cross-pollination between the Anna and the Tropic Sweet, and they're all in a row. So it'll create a nice little apple hedge as you come into the farm. So hope you enjoyed the episode today, and just as a reminder, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere, so can you. Okay, so again, hope you enjoyed the episode today, and just remember, yeah.